Phillies lose 4-2 to the Washington Nationals. Some sloppiness involved once again. I've been madder. I've been more mad, however you want to say it, whatever's proper. I don't know. But whatever. I've had worse times than this one, even though I'm not thrilled. They did take the series. And whenever I see teams like the Washington Nationals or the Colorado Rockies on the schedule, I say one thing. Just find a way to take them down. Win the series and move on to the next opponent. Would a sweep been nice? Yeah, a sweep would have been nice. But that's not what we got. We had some abysmal mental mistakes. We had abysmal physical mistakes, and that just seems to be a common trend with this team. But, yeah, it's a weird one for me. Because I see some frustration online, and if you would like to react, 215-592-9494. This game in particular doesn't have my blood boiling. It's just, all right, well, you did your job, and let's see what you can do against the Diamondbacks. Let's wrap this game up, though, which is sponsored by Roto-Rooter. When plumbing problems hit, wrap them up quick and call Roto-Rooter. Their team tackles clogs and leaks so you can stay in the game. Roto-Rooter, your MVP for plumbing solutions. The game was rolling quickly. Truth be told, I left my house so damn early with the way that this thing was starting. I'm going, oh, jeez. I had to feed my daughter. All right, I'm putting her down for bed. And by the time I put her down for bed, it's already the fifth inning. I'm going, what the hell's going on here? Slow down a sec, will you? And then it did. Oh, it sure did. That fifth inning, Bohm knocks in Kepler. So you take a nice 1-0 lead. The problem is a half inning later, the sixth, the Nats scored all their runs. And things just got hideous. Bryce Harper over at first base, turning into Trey Turner a little bit with some dysfunction with the glove. Now the ball is rolling all the way into the outfield by Nick Castellanos. Runs are being scored. Taijuan Walker deserved better. There's no doubt about it. But here's what stinks. Even when the score was 4-1, you had an opportunity. You did. Nick, in the bottom of the sixth, had a single. Now it's 4-2. It was first and third, 1 out. And I just heard Rob Thompson say that he trusted Kepler so much because he's been swinging a hot stick that he was going to keep him in the game, even though Max Kepler does not have good numbers at all against lefties. And that really hurt you. Now, I'm not telling you if you put Sosa in, it's an automatic. Here's a big-time double in the gap, or here's a home run to take the lead even. I'm not saying that. I don't know what would have transpired, knowing the issues with getting timely hits and getting hits with runners in scoring position. I wouldn't have been stunned if you did go to your bench and that person failed too, because more times than not, this team does leave me angry when it comes to needing the clutch hit with the clutch AB and it not really playing out into fruition. So who am I to automatically write in an awesome electric at-bat for anybody who pinch hits for Kepler? I just don't like the rationale by Rob saying I like the way he's hitting less than 200 against lefties, Rob. What is there to like? What is there to like about Max Kepler when he's hitting 182 against lefties and an OPS that's in the 400s? There's nothing to like about that, Rob. So I thought that was a brutal decision by Topper. There's actually a few rough decisions by Topper. That was one of them. But anyway, Nick grounded out into a double play. You had some shots. And the Nats bullpen, they're so egregious. You'd think that this offense would be able to give you a little bit more life. It's funny, I started off 2 minutes ago saying this one didn't bother me that much. Now I'm actually talking about it. It's pissing me off. I'm a liar. 215-592-9494. Let's react to this game here on Final Out together. Phils drop it 4-2. They're now 17-14 on the season. They did win the series, though. I will not lose sight of the fact they won the series against a bad team, and that's what you're supposed to do, and that's all they can control when their schedule is released. They can't snap their fingers and have a different team come into CBP this week. This is what they were handed, and this is what they needed to do. A sweep would have been nice, and it was realistically there for you, but 2 out of 3, it's not a disaster by any means, even though big picture, I can complain about a lot. Let's go to John in Deptford. What's going on, John?
Hey, what's up, guys? How we doing?
Good. How are you, my friend?
Good. I mean, a little bummed out. We won the series. You are right. But, man, I was hoping for a sweep. That would have been real nice.
Yeah, I feel you, especially coming off of the way the series started with the debacle game 1. It just would have left a nice taste in the mouth if you just took care of business game 2, took care of business game 3, no drama involved, and then you set yourself nicely with good morale with the Diamondbacks. But, this is just what it is, and we'll see how they kind of bounce back from it.
Absolutely. I mean, yesterday's game, that was such a relaxing ninth inning. I wasn't stressed, and then, now we're fighting for the comeback today. Man, I'm going to the game Saturday. I'm excited. Hopefully, I think it's Nola pitching on Saturday. I'm pretty sure. And I just hope everything I want to win another series. It's fun, man.
Yeah, absolutely, especially against a team, and thank you, John, I appreciate it, like the Arizona Diamondbacks, who just had a pretty good week. Just did some damage. They ended up taking down the New York Mets. So when you have that, well, now let's make the Mets pay for not holding their own against the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks took 2 out of 3 in Queens. So if they drop 2 out of 3, the Mets that is, and now you get to see that same opponent and you get to make a statement against Arizona, that's a phenomenal way to make some noise. Let's see what you got. And if you're going to a game where Knowles is on the mound, I'm not sure which game he pitches this weekend, but Knowles is coming off of one of his most electric starts of the year. So he's just going to continue that dominance. And that's not sarcasm. I'm a Nola guy. I believe in Knowles. The biggest takeaway of the game is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. My biggest takeaway of the game is this team is just not smart. They don't play smart baseball. Bryce Harper, that error, it's unacceptable. And we've seen Trey Turner do that a bunch. We've seen Johan Rojas do that a bunch. This team is just not smart. They're not fundamentally sound. But let's add another layer to this. What Rojas did in the 9th inning was an absolute disgrace. Going for the triple in a 2-run game with 2 outs, where it was that close, is a disgrace. This team is not smart. They're not a smart baseball team, and it's going to drive me nuts. That is one of the worst decisions I've ever seen in my life. I'm not kidding. If he would have got gunned out for the final out of the game at third base when you're already in scoring position with a 2-run game being what the score is, that's crazy. What's the first thing they teach you when you play this sport? Know what you're going to do before the ball's in play, whether it's defensively, and you got to know time and situation when you're in the box as well, dude. That's crazy. Crazy. I can't even express it enough how dumb of a decision that is to try and expand that hit to a triple. It's a very selfish play. And I don't think Johan Rojas is a selfish teammate by any means. But that particular play, in the moment, his instincts took over and he wasn't properly assessing the game at a high enough IQ level. And that's a problem. Because you have to if you want to win a World Series. That's the truth. You have to. So, Trey, that applies to you when you're throwing the ball home, not touching any bags, when you're pulling Bryce Harper off the first base bag in this series in Game 1. That type of stuff, it eats me alive. But that's my biggest takeaway is they're clueless at times. Rojas, Rob Thompson not pinch hitting for Max Kepler, clueless decision. The infield in debate, I guess that's a debatable one. I wouldn't say that's clueless, but I do think that you should maybe Think about what your defense is going to look like when the Nationals scored their runs, and maybe if you were willing to accept that one run would tie the game, knowing the Nationals bullpen is terrible, that you'd be set up to flourish later on with an offense like this. But instead, things unraveled because of that decision with your infield in. That's a thought. How about the double steal thing? What are we doing? What are we doing? What was the plan? Rob described the plan post-game. I saw vomit. Trey needs to not allow that ball to go into the outfield. It's another issue with me. So those are my biggest takeaways of the game here. 215-592-9494. That's the phone number if you do want to hop on board the final out. We are reacting to a Phillies loss, unfortunately, to the Washington Nationals. A score of 4-2. They do win the series, so I'm trying my very best here. I am, to stay positive, and I didn't think this game bothered me as much as it did. But now that we're starting off our first 15 minutes or so of the program, I'm realizing that this team does do a lot of things that make me upset. Nick double play, Bohm double play. Come on. Yo, Bohm, come on, Bohm. You once were a double machine. You once were an RBI machine. Now you're batting at the bottom of the lineup, barely giving me life. Can't stand it. Anyway. 215-592-9494. It's Brodes. Would love to hear from you. We are going to rock your calls in just one moment here. I do want to tell you about the player of the game, which is brought to you by South Jersey Gas. Over 100 years of reliability. Always dependable. Always ready. SouthJerseyGas.com/lovemyhome. Okay. There's not really much to choose from. So I'm going to go with Finnegan for getting the save with 8 pitches.
The Phillies always crush him, too, so it's going to be a big night for him.
Do you think he's stoked going, that's right, I got player of the game on final out, baby?
Oh, he's listening in right now.
After leaving the ballpark, the Nats improved to 14-18, 5-11 on the road. Clean. Well, it wasn't clean. There was one hit in the night. But in regards to having 1 inning, 8 pitches, easy relative to maybe some of the other dysfunction he has to deal with out of that pen. Yeah. There you go, baby. Thanks, Brodes. That's all. He's probably thinking, thanks, Brodes. Maybe a little tweet. That's all.
Recognize. Call in. Just call in. We know you're listening.
Just a little recognition. Doesn't hurt.
No.
That's all. All right, to the phones we go. Let's go to Rachel in Fishtown. Hey, Rachel.
Hi, Hunter. You are off your rocker, my guy.
I know. That's what everybody tells me.
What? I need to know your basis on this Rojas comment, because I think, listen, I'm a Rojas hater. I am the first person to say I am a Rojas hater.
Okay.
And he's the only one that came to play today. The only one that was aggressive enough to try and do something today. And you're out here saying that he's problematic? What are you talking about?
Well, no. I'm saying in the 9th inning, if the game's 4-2 with 2 outs, once you get to second base, getting to third base is irrelevant. So he pushed.
We're at the bottom of the 9th, and you put up a designated out as our last at bat. Marshawn was a definite out.
Well, listen, that's another argument.
Got 1 pitch effort.
We can make that argument as well, that you should have maybe decided to do something more efficient than him.
Pinch hit Marshawn, no brainer. But Rojas, to say that was a terrible decision, you're wrong.
No, why would you go to third base? You're already in scoring position. There's 2 outs. What if you make the third out at third?
We're at the bottom of the 9th. What do you want to happen? We're already down
I want him to stay at second, so then the person who comes up to the plate has a chance.
Marshawn could fly out.
I didn't.
Screaming at the radio right now. You're wrong.
I'm not like they're actually. Rachel, I love you and I appreciate it. There really isn't even an argument to be made to go to third. This isn't even like a debatable thing. There really isn't even a reason to go to third base in that 9th inning. There's none.
No, but shoot your shot. At least he tried. And listen, like I said, I'm a hater on Rojas. I think he's one of our worst, and I would send him to the minor leagues before sending Mars. But, that was at least a try. At least he tried.
Rachel, I love you. Thank you so much. And I am off my rocker. But logically speaking, trying, I don't know what the trying does. From second to third, it's irrelevant in the time and space of that game. In the ninth, down 2 with 2 outs. If he gets thrown out at third, you don't even get an at-bat to try and tie the game up. You're in scoring position. Going to third is actually a ridiculous thought.
It's a dumb idea.
It is.
If he was the tying run, yeah, risk it and go to third. That makes sense. But if you stay at second, that's fine. You're going to be off and running on anything anyway, so he could have easily scored from second. I'm very confused by that last call because everything besides the main point of that call was correct. I was all over the place from Rachel there.
I'm not a Rojas fan either. But I'll even say this. You say if he was the tying run, even if he's the tying run, because of how fast he is, stay at second. I need a shot.
Yeah, there's really
there's
tying
no
run is
reason.
the only thing, and even then, I agree. He probably just should have stayed at second. You're in scoring position. You're fast enough. Anything hitting to the outfield, you're gonna score on it pretty much no matter what.
And Topper made that very clear. Someone who's never really going to throw people under the bus to the public. After the game was over, he acknowledged it real quick. We're going to sit down and talk to Rojas about that one. That was way too close for his liking because it's just not smart. And again, I really do appreciate your time, Rachel. I love you. Love hearing from you. But I don't see how anybody could want him to take off for third there. All right, let's go to Neil. You're on WIP. Hey, Neil.
By the way, sorry, Hunter. I like you and the Fanatic with Ricky Bowe and Tyrone, so I didn't recognize your voice. I should have. Sorry.
That's okay. I appreciate your kind words, Neil. Thank you.
And I sorry to confuse you with Bill Matz. Did you actually? At what level of hockey did you play, Hunter?
I do remember when you said that. I played NCAA Division III. That was when I ended up hanging up the skates after playing D3 college hockey. So that's where I went.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, 2 out of 3 is not terrible. I still think they could take 2 out of 3 against Arizona, although Arizona has, like a lot of base runners. And what are they, a couple games over 500 like the Phillies?
Yeah, give or take. They're right around that same exact window, Neil.
Yeah. And at least the Mets lost today, so...
Yeah, they dropped that series to the Diamondbacks. So if they drop the series to Arizona, then you end up winning that series. That's a nice feel-good little stretch throughout the regular season.
Yeah, but they gotta play better against the Mets. They're the Rays are our arch rival, but 6-19 against the Mets, and the Mets only have like an average pitching staff. They got to do better than that.
I agree, Neil. Trust me, I will rip it. And thank you, Neil. I will rip this team every time they go up against the Mets if they look like that crap that I saw the last time these two squads met, for sure. Oh, yeah. And I'm saying within the moment, right? There's only so much you can do in a series in early May. I'm trying to find mini positives throughout this season because I have some serious concerns, and we'll get into this when it's no longer final out, and I can really discuss my feelings on Trey, my feelings on Bryce Harper, which I do have some questions for you all and whatnot. So I have my long-term worries, and I'm not high on this team at all. I'm not buying stock in them, but I'm looking for mini victories throughout this journey to try and win me back a little, and that is maybe what I'm grabbing hope for to try and feel good about this group. And maybe if you beat the Diamondbacks after they end up beating the Mets, there's something you can build off that. I'm trying. I'm desperate. It's sad. And some would say it's pathetic. And I would agree with you. But this is the way that I try and convince myself that this team could do something whenever I don't have as much love as some others do. Because I don't really like this group. I don't really like what they've become. I don't appreciate the way they take the diamond every day. So I'm looking for answers, and I'm looking for reasons why I should love them. And maybe this Diamondback series could give me a little bit of that. It's desperate and sad. Just being honest. Let's go to Travis in California. Yo, Trav.
What's up, Brodes? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. What's up, Trav?
I'm pretty frustrated, honestly. I know they won 2 out of 3. Glad they won the series. They need every series win they can possibly get. But I'm kind of in the same position as you, dude. Like, I'm not very high on this team. I'm not really buying stock in them right now. But one of the things that really frustrated me tonight was, and people can disagree or whatever, but not pinch hitting for Kepler in the 6th.
Yeah.
It really bugged me I understand he's been good lately, I guess. I think he's mediocre at best, but whatever. He's been fine lately. But that was arguably the biggest at-bat of the game. You come through there, you make it 4-3, possibly 4-4, whatever the case may be. They probably win the game. Him striking out, looking right there, just like sucked all the momentum away that they were trying to get. And it just frustrates me because I feel like Rob never has any sense of urgency, and it just bothers me. Like, you can't even put a ball in play, and it ruins the rally, especially when you have a guy like Alec Boehm up next, who's literally useless right now. But that was the moment.
I couldn't agree more. Trev, I couldn't agree more. I think you're absolutely right that is a spot where you got, and I was listening to the broadcast at the time as I was getting ready for the show and driving in and whatnot, and, they were saying how, well, right now, because Topper probably post-game will mention how that spot in the lineup will come back up and there'll probably be a righty on the mound, so you would like to have Kepler still in the game, but one is a hypothetical, and the other is a real moment that's happening currently, so you have to pinch hit for him there. You just have to. His numbers against lefties, it's not that impressive.
Yeah, it's terrible. He's brutal against lefties. It's terrible. And you just call up Weston Wilson after he came back from his rehab assignment. You have a Muno Sosa. Like, at least if they don't come through, like, at least you tried. No one's going to be mad if you pitch it for Kepler and then they don't come through. But anyways, another thing, Bryce Harper, I don't know what's wrong with him. He looks miserable out there every single day. He's just flailing at pitches. I feel like I haven't seen him smile in like 2 weeks. Can't get in front of the ball on that ground ball to first base that ended up losing us the game. It's not hitting well, and his attitude. I don't know what his deal is. His attitude. He's like supposed to be the leader, supposed to be the face of the franchise, and he just looks miserable. He looks like he does not want to be there. I don't know what his deal is. I know he's Bryce Harper. He'll probably get it going, but it's just really frustrating because like they need him big time, and he just looks like he'd rather be anywhere but there. And it's like, dude. Like, you're asking for this extension and this and that, and then, like, you just look like you don't even want to be there, bro. I don't know if it's because of that, because they haven't given it to him. And
I don't think it's that. But, and Travis, thank you so much for the call. I agree that it doesn't look right now. Do I think he's crying and pouting that he didn't get a couple extra years signed when there's this much baseball to go? No, I don't think that's what's happening with Bryce. But I do think that there should be questions going on about Bryce. And not is he falling apart and becoming a shell of himself and that. But something's wearing him down. And I'm just speculating because his numbers are not what we're used to. His batting average is dipped below 240. He's hitting 235. That's egregious. I feel if it's this bad out of Bryce, he's probably battling something. I think maybe he's hurt. Because you're right. He doesn't look right physically. He doesn't look like he's enjoying himself. I don't think he's just crying because he's not hitting the ball well. This is Bryce Harper, been playing baseball for a billion years. He's not someone who he's not Alec Boehm, who is a known personality that wears his emotions on his sleeve, where you know when he's going through the ups, you know when he's going through the downs, you feel it every single time. That's not really Bryce. Bryce is Bryce. So you're right, he doesn't look like Bryce right now. Well, why? And I think it's more than just he's not hitting well, because he's been through a bunch of spurts where he doesn't necessarily hit the ball well. That's just baseball. I think for him, there's got to be another layer to this, and I'm wondering if he's really banged up and it's just going under the radar right now, not being talked about.
But if he's hurt, if he's that banged up that it's affecting his at-bats to where he's hitting 235 and they're not putting him on the 10-day IL or giving him a couple days off, what are they doing? It's the 1st of May. This isn't like it's September and you're telling him, hey, dude, you got to suck it up and tough it out.
This is the same guy, though, who had a UCL tear and said, I don't care, I'm still playing, and he actually did well then. So
I get that,
he may call the shots on this.
Yeah, but someone's got to talk some sense into him of, hey, dude, if you're really that banged up, it's May 1st. Take a week off and just recover, rest up a bit, and then see how you're feeling after that. It'll probably help him that much more in the long run, where if he's actually hurt, every at-bat, every swing, whatever the injury could be, if there is one, it's just making it worse.
I don't disagree. I do not disagree. I just don't think that this is a healthy Bryce Harper who's just struggling, because when I look at the full body and the full package and the full, shots of him when he's walking to the dugout and just the way he's wearing this right now, this doesn't scream someone who is a superstar, a previous MVP of the league, just going through a funk, who's not performing very well. This seems to be something else that's wearing him down, and that's the only thing I can come up with. So, and look, I could be wrong. Maybe it is just him feeling sorry for himself, but is Bryce Harper the guy who takes the diamond every day feeling sorry for himself? I just don't think that's who he is. So that's why I'm not necessarily going right in that direction automatically. Let's go to BG in Villanova. What's up, BG?
Sir Hunter, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am good. I was at the game tonight,
okay.
And I was sitting with a baseball guy, and he gave me some good context for the Rojas. I think the caller was Rachel, who was asking for your basis for your take on Rojas being too aggressive. And there was a play earlier in the game where Trey was on first, and there was a ball in the outfield, and he didn't go for third, and I was pissed. I was like, he's not hustling. I don't get it. And so my seam head friend said, you should never be the first out at third or the last out at third ever, because if you're going to go it for when there's 0 outs, there's no point in going for it because you have 2 chances to not get knocked in. And if you're going at it, when you have 2 outs and you're already in scoring position, there's 0 point going for third base there. So
right.
Heard you talking about that, and I wanted to give you your kudos. You're a natural athlete. You're a natural fan.
Well, thank you. And I think also when you realize who we're talking about, too, it's Trey and it's Rojas. Singles will score those guys from second base with their speed. Correct. So they're going to find a way to get home, even with one of the dinkiest hits you'll find, because they're so fast naturally.
Correct. Yeah, and it was just a frustrating game. And, the only thing I could say to Rojas is maybe he was trying to rejuvenate the guys. And there definitely wasn't energy when he got the triple. But to your point, if he was out, I was looking at my friend. He was like, that was the dumbest thing ever. So,
I know. And Rob said it too. And BG, thank you so much. Rob said it too very quickly after the game. It was too close. He's right. Okay. 215-592-9494. This is Final Out. Coming up next, we have one more segment of Final Out together. We will take your phone calls as I see you lined up. I would really love to hear your thoughts on what transpired in this game. 4-2, the Phillies fell, but they did take the series. Coming up next, I will also expand on Taijuan Walker's day. We'll take a look at the pitch count as well throughout his 5 2/3, what the Phillies may elect to do moving forward with the staff, all that and more. It's Brodes, it's Final Out, it's 94.